How do you monetize podcast guesting? It all costs time, money, and effort. So how do you get a good return on that? Well, I want to talk to you about what the secret to successful podcast guesting is. The key to monetizing it doesn't lie in monetizing the actual appearance. Those days of public speaking are long behind us. We live in a different era, the new normal. In this world, the most important aspect of podcast guesting is understanding how this fits into your broader business development, your broader personal brand building, and how to become a thought leader. So the key to monetizing podcast guesting is not actually monetizing the guesting itself. Think of that as a meeting. Think of it as an opportunity to get in front of an audience. The key now is monetizing the upsell, the higher ticket item. So most of the thought leaders that I work with on that podcast guesting journey are in the B2B space, meaning that they are selling services to other business people, to leaders, to organizations. It could be, for example, coaching. It could be selling their SaaS platform. It could be selling any kind of service, but generally it's a more conceptual sale, it's a longer sales cycle, and it's a higher ticket item. Now, making that successful means having the attention and the trust of your audience. And in the modern communication landscape, attention is your biggest cost. So if you can get the attention of an audience, particularly somebody else's audience, the audience of a podcast host, that's an extremely valuable commodity. If you can get that and get that audience from being an unknown passive audience into your engaged audience, you have something very valuable indeed, because you have the permission now to build a relationship with them, to start a dialogue with them, and ultimately upsell your higher ticket items. All of this depends on having a professional structure to podcast guesting. One of the things that we help our clients implement in the thought leadership journey is a good podcast funnel. We'll have a look at it very quickly here on the screen. This is coming up in the next podcast episode in this mini series, the podcast guesting funnel. This helps you take your podcast guesting appearances and convert them into business outcomes. If you can see in this funnel, if you're listening on the audio version of this, the final step in the funnel is selling the higher ticket product or service that you are all about, that you represent, that your business is about. That's a long sales cycle built on a lot of trust and attention. It's many steps in the process, but podcast guesting is a great way of getting to that end goal once you get them into the reach out loop. So I'll tell you all about the podcast guesting funnel in the next episode. That is the answer to how to monetize podcast guesting. If you can get in front of a prospect, if you can get in front of an audience, you have permission to sell yourself effectively. And that is the starting point to upselling far more valuable services that you can offer to an audience.